Hello. For the first time ever in history, Formula E is in Malaysia. We will be racing Saturday in Putrajaya.
Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Anda sedang menonton Agenda Awani, bukan bertukar pengacara tetapi masih lagi pengacara yang sama, cuma itulah tamu saya. Orang yang minda yang begitu tajam dan memandang ke depan. Beliau berasal sebagai seorang graduan ekonomi dan bisnes, kemudiannya menjadi seorang ahli politik, kemudiannya memulakan perniagaan sendiri dalam pelbagai perniagaan di tahap dunia, bukan saja di negara kelahiran beliau iaitu Sepanyol, dan kini sebagai minda dan penggerak utama, pengasas dan juga kini CEO kepada FIA Formula E. Oleh itu saya ingin minta izin berbicara dalam bahasa Inggeris. I would not like to alarm my guests any further. Alejandro, thank you so much for making time to be on this show. I know you're very busy, but before I go to the mechanics of the race, how fast, and typical question from Malaysia, of course we have had Formula One for the longest time. Here will be the comparisons. But before I really go to all that, this is a historic moment. In Beijing, in China, a few weeks ago, it was the beginning of that historic moment. Now it inches further forward. And we are proud to be only the second country in the world to host this historic racing that is deemed by many people as the future of racing. Can you please tell us more about that?
Yes, well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be in Malaysia. And yes, in a way, we think that we're doing history. I think we did history in Beijing with this first ever electric racing, and now we're doing history again in Malaysia. And we think the meaning of being here in Asia and starting here is also very important, because we are looking to the future. We are looking to actually change the world. Each one on a little space. We have the space of changing the world in mobility. But starting in Asia, I think it's a very strong message that we want to really look to the future, and this is the region really that looks to the future.
I'll tell the audience, or my audience right now who's watching, that the key breakthrough is to break the perception. The perception is now, if I tell them to go out today or tomorrow and buy an electric car or even a hybrid car, there's this hesitancy. Could I use it just like a traditional combustion engine car? Can I go back to my hometown on the peninsula? Maybe the longest drive would take you about 400 over kilometers. Could it last me that long? Do I have to stop? Where do I feel in the energy? So Formula E is like this big super lab that's moving around the world that is testing for this, that is making the technological breakthrough in terms of battery life, powertrain, and whatever not. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're totally right. And here there are two problems. The first one is perception. Still people don't believe in electric cars. They don't see them as an option for the daily life. They think they're not practical, but also not cool, not fun. To show these cars racing may change the mind, and we're convinced will change the mind of many people about electric cars, especially the younger generation. We have to go to the kids. So the kids see these cars racing, and when they buy a car, the first car they buy, it's an electric car. And then, of course, the second question is the technology. We need a lab, like you were saying, to develop better batteries, better powertrains. So you will be able to do this journey of 400, 500, 600 kilometers with your battery without being able to recharge. But again, we go back to the perception. Most of the days, people use their car to go to the office, to go to the shop, to go to the cinema. They do 10 miles, 15 miles, that's it. That's a distance for which an electric car, it's perfect.
In that sense, because sometimes it's also about emotional touch point. Perception is, it's slower, maybe for my grandmother, but not for me. I like the feel of that RPM when I floor the throttle to the floor, for example. This is the answer, especially for young people. If you're having doubts about how fast it can go quite fast. And for Malaysians, you can watch it yourself in Putrajaya this weekend. For example, have you had this kind of feedback back to you from young people after the first race?
Absolutely, very much. And you're right, the perception is that they're not fast. But by showing them going really fast, you change that perception. Also, sometimes the perception is they're not safe.
Yeah.
We had a huge accident in Beijing.
Yes.
One of the cars flew
At the
in
last
the
corner.
air at the last corner of the last lap of the
Yes.
race between the first and the second. And the third won.
Okay.
But that crash showed that electric cars are extremely safe after an impact like that. So we're seeing that a championship like this can really help changing that perception. And performance is only going to go up. It's a question of the capacity of the batteries, the energy we can store in the battery. From there, everything is going to go faster and faster.
And there's also another catch that you might not know, because your frame of reference would mostly be with F1. But if you ask Alejandro, you can also play around with the likelihood of the team or the driver winning, because there's direct input from social media. I'll let you have the fun in telling that.
Yes, this is one of the most important features of our championship. We want to make this championship different. We want to make this championship open. And of course, many people talk about interactivity and making things open, but to make it real is difficult. What we have done is, through social media, you can vote for your driver for the weeks before, during the weeks before the race. The 3 drivers who get more votes get an extra push twice during the race, 50 extra horsepower during 5 seconds, twice. So it means that the people, and particularly the ones who like to play with these mobile phones and so on, are the younger generation, can have a direct effect on the result of a sport. You cannot score a goal in football through social media. You cannot score a point in tennis, but you can help your driver overtake in a Formula E race. We think that's groundbreaking. It's the first time ever that that happens, and we think that will help us attract the younger generation to our race.
I think so too. And what's more than this country, where we are one of the best users of social media, we are acknowledged by Facebook as one of the most active, if not the most active. I'll have to go for the short break. That's my pit stop that I must go to. But after that pit stop, I want to go and prove this to the speed enthusiasts, to the racing diehards out there in Malaysia. The technical aspects of it, the top speed, the acceleration, why do you have to change cars, and why is there a set limit? Because they're so used to, if you can do that pit stop in 2 seconds, that's better. But for Formula E, because you have a bigger picture in mind, it's quite different. So let's talk about the specifics of this race, of this E-Prix, of this Formula E after this pit stop. There's never enough time with great people, but I would let Umaira Uyuk, my colleague from Kini Trending, to steal a few minutes. Umaira, silakan.
Baik, Cik Kam, kejohanan FIA Formula ini bukan sahaja masih baru di Malaysia, malah di seluruh dunia, dan perlumbaan sebelumnya bermula pada 13 September lepas di Beijing dan menjelajah ke 9 litar lain di seluruh dunia sehingga ia berakhir di London. Dan oleh kerana kejohanan ini perlumbaan baru, jadi pastinya peminat memerlukan sedikit pencerahan tentang kejohanan ini kan. Jadi mereka boleh melihat di YouTube yang mana di situ ada video berdurasi lebih kurang 5 minit yang menceritakan perincian tentang kejohanan ini.
Video ini baru saja dimuat naik ke saluran YouTube milik FIA Formula E Championship. Ia lengkap dengan maklumat tentang setiap persoalan mengenai FIA Formula E, seperti di mana lokasi perlumbaan, siapa pembuat kereta, bagaimana sistem perlumbaan dibuat dan lain-lain persoalan lagi. Bagi mendapatkan info tentang jadual perlumbaan dan juga pasukan serta pemandu, anda boleh layari ke laman web www.fiaformulae.com.
Jadi harapnya video ni sedikit sebanyak boleh memberikan sedikit maklumat berkenaan dengan kejohanan ni. Jadi itu saja, Cik Kam.
Umaira tahu ke berapa kelajuan maksima kereta Formula E ni?
Saya nak dengar kejap lagi daripada Cik Kam.
Okey, terima kasih Umaira.
kasih.
Umairah ni dia suka pergi tengok Formula One. My colleague there, Umairah, she love to go to Formula One. So I'm saying, do you know the top speed for Formula E? But I guess I let you explain it. Why is it a few miles per hour below the top speed of Formula One? And at the same time, I think it's what 900 kilogram the weight?
Yes,
around
890.
that. And there's also the issue of even though we don't like to compare it with Formula One, but I guess the powertrain and all would have to do with the F1 teams also.
A lot.
So maybe you can share us that detail.
Yes, well, of course, Formula E is probably where Formula One was in 1950.
Okay.
We are really at the beginning of a new road. We are going into unexplored territories, no?
Okay.
Technology-wise. When we started Formula E, the big challenge was to have cars. There were no cars in the world, electric racing cars in the world. So we had to look for partners to make these cars. And we found them in Formula One. So Formula E, in technology-wise, is a child of Formula One.
Okay.
That's still the pinnacle of technology for the motor racing. So we found the motors in McLaren. We found the batteries, the best batteries in Williams, which are two, very big Formula One teams. Yeah. And Renault Formula One did the safety and the integration of all the systems. But of course, the name of the game here is the battery.
Okay.
The battery is still too big. But if you remember, the mobile phones 20 years ago were like this big.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you remember, there's Michael Douglas in this movie Wall Street, which is big phone. Now you look at your phones, they're like this small, and they do 100 times more things.
Yes.
So batteries will follow a similar path. And when that happens, we can have performances as high as Formula One. Right now we could have them, but the car would only last for maybe 10 minutes.
Okay.
And then we could go at 300, 320 per hour.
Yeah.
If you want the car to go a little bit longer, in time, you have to reduce a little bit the performance. So we found a balance in a speed around 225 kilometers per hour, which inside the city, in a street race, is very
exciting.
Good. Yeah. It's very good. If you think about it, Formula One does maybe 260 in Monte Carlo.
Yes.
They don't go over 300, 320 because it's a street race.
Yes.
And in any case, we are big fans of Formula One. We don't see ourselves as a competition to Formula One. We are compatible to Formula One. I am myself what they define as a petrol head. I mean, I've been in the traditional kind of, in the combustion racing for many, many years. I had a team in GP2. I was following all the Formula One races. I had 6 drivers from my team in Formula One. They're still there today. So, we love Formula One, but we think Formula E is different, it's new, and it has its own space.
What makes you choose, because you have the power to influence, of course, Putrajaya as the second race, Why Putrajaya? Why Malaysia?
Two reasons really. The first reason is we wanted to start in Asia. We see Asia as a region that is, probably the region that is going to drive the growth of the world this century.
Okay.
And as this is a project for the future, we thought that this message was very important. So once we were in Asia, we looked for locations. And we found a really incredible similarity of our values and our vision with the current Prime Minister of Malaysia, who immediately welcomed us and said, I want you to race here in Malaysia and in Putrajaya, which is, where he's based. Yeah. The city of Putrajaya also has been incredibly helpful, and it has been really a fantastic experience to work with our Malaysian partners and the Malaysian authorities to put this race together here. And the work they've done setting up this racetrack in the streets of Putrajaya is really amazing. And I invite everyone to come Saturday to this race at 2 o'clock to watch these cars racing, because it's going to be probably one of the most amazing races in the world. Beijing, Putrajaya, but then London, Berlin, Miami. So many of the biggest capitals in the world and Putrajaya are in our calendar, and we think it's it's a great symbol, and we're really happy to be here.
Racing-wise, what are you looking forward to? Because this is just beginning, so you surely and your team must be looking at different facets of the race. The weather in Beijing is a bit different, the streets in Beijing a bit different. Now in KL, maybe humidity is a bit higher, So what specifically, from a racing point of view, are you looking at for Putrajaya?
Well, what we need First of all, it's a real race. This is not a parade of electric cars. These are 20 of the best drivers in the world fighting, really fighting for victory. And we could see it in Beijing. The proof was that the guy going first and the guy going second crashed in the last corner trying to win.
Yep.
So this is the first thing. Second, every race is different. To give you an example, what would be my ideal race in Putrajaya? Would be, we start dry, it's very hot, difficult for drivers to manage the temperature of the batteries, humid, and after halfway through the race, or maybe 3/4 through the race, it starts raining.
Raining heavily.
Raining. Not heavy that we stop the race, but raining.
Okay.
That could give an incredible excitement to the race in Malaysia. And we would also prove another of the points we want to prove, is that electric cars are fine under the rain.
Okay. I have to go for my final pit stop, but that's going to be a fast one. I understand that as compared to F1, the tires for Formula E, it's an all-purpose, all-weather kind of tires. So maybe that's another reason why you want to look at humidity and hot and heat, and then suddenly rain and the cool factor coming in. That's one. I also want to tap into your mind because you have, 6 drivers in Formula 1, and we are still wondering how suddenly there's Fernando Alonso dominating the world of racing, breaking the dominance of Michael Schumacher, for example. So we want to see that for our own too. We don't want to be continuing hosting Formula 1, Formula E, but we don't have our own Malaysian team and Malaysian drivers to be proud of. So I want to tap into your wide array of contact around the globe and your experience on how can we do that right after this short break. You are still watching Genawani, and I'm still talking about the futuristic Formula racing, which is Formula E, but it's already happening this year. It's the beginning of big turning point, not only for motor racing, but I guess this smartphone might be much thinner and smaller because what might come out of the research on battery that's being done for Formula E. So Alejandro is here with me. He has other hats that he wears, this graduate of business and economics, finance people, and strategies, and politicians for the longest time. But we're not going to go there yet. I'm going to ask him the question I asked him before the show, which is before we break, is that we want to see Malaysian drivers, a Malaysian team, because you have experience in building a team. You don't only look at Formula 1, you look at GP2, for example.
Yes.
So can you give us your tips?
Well, we would like a Malaysian driver too. I think to have a local hero in a race adds a lot of excitement. The people coming Saturday to the race unfortunately won't have a local hero to cheer for. But maybe in a few years, because Formula E is here, we can set up a process, and some kind of academy, some kind of system to go into Formula E.
Yes.
It's always difficult because you have to start really young. Racing is expensive. It's not like tennis, you just need to buy a racket, or football, you just take a ball. Here you need a car. It's an expensive piece of kit. But there is a lot of talent for sure in Malaysia for racing, and we would love to have a driver. So maybe in a few years we can make that happen. A team would be also a possibility, and we've been talking with some Malaysian groups about the possibility of joining one of the teams. That would be also good for the crowd because they could cheer for a local team. No? So definitely looking at that.
And for any sport, that unique competitiveness through diversity of this globalized world is that different athletes have different ways. Maybe the driver from Malaysia will be more adept in the wet race, for example. And I was asking you that earlier, that you didn't have the chance to answer that the tires used for Formula E, you don't change them for dry, for intermediate, for wet, like Formula 1. It's just one. So what happens if it rains?
We don't change the tires because, again, the whole philosophy of the championship is one of sustainability. So we don't want to waste anything, but for example, we don't want to waste rubber. We want to have a tire that lasts long. In the beginning, we were even thinking to use the same tire for the whole championship, the same physical tire for the whole championship. And that's really our goal. We do have tires, the same tire for wet and dry. But then Michelin, who is our tire partner, has also produced what we call the Typhoon tire. So in case it rains heavily, and here sometimes in this time of the year it does, we have those special tires, we will change tires and the cars will go out with that.
Okay. Alejandro, a lot of people in Malaysia look at the Spanish influence as very romantic. Yeah, you colonized us about a few hundred years ago, but from movies and songs, you know, dances. So that gave me an opportunity to ask you about the soul of Formula E. You know, I know a lot of people that they hesitate to go to Formula One because while they can afford it, but they don't feel like they're contributing to what they believe in, because Formula One is very expensive, a lot of money being invested in that, it's all glam and gliss. But for Formula E, it sounds more like the people's race. People can contribute to social media and give boost to the driver. The tires are not changed because you're thinking of carbon emission and using less of the world. So if you can put that layer in, because can we really believe that this high-class, high-performing, futuristic race is all about the common people and a more sustainable lifestyle?
Well, when we thought about creating Formula E, we thought that this could be motorsport that could do good for society. Motorsport can play a role. It has been playing a role for a long time in development of new technologies, but Formula E has a very unique opportunity to change one very important element, which is to help fighting climate change. I mean, we've been progressing for a long time based on the combustion engine. That has really powered our civilization, our progress, but at a cost. The cost is that carbon emissions have an effect on climate change. And the fight to carbon emissions happens first in the cities. The world is going towards a concentration of the population in big cities, and 80% of the pollution in 2020 is going to come from cities. So to fight the pollution at its heart, you need to find solutions in the cities. And a big part of it is mobility, how we move around cities. If we can move around cities on a clean way, we're going to make a huge difference in emissions, and as a consequence, we're going to make a difference for climate change.
I want to ask you one final question, but that's all the time I have. You have to come again. I hope Formula E will be in Putrajaya for the foreseeable future. Thank you so much, Alejandro, for making time. We'll tap into your expertise in business, finance, economics, and also in politics in another episode. You don't have to feel guilty to go to Formula E in Putrajaya hujung minggu ini, ataupun hujung minggu ini ada Formula E di Putrajaya, dan ia akan meremajakan Putrajaya secara jauhnya, kerana inilah perlumbaan yang diadakan khusus untuk orang-orang muda dan teknologi orang muda. Hantarkan pandangan anda sendiri kepada pelbagai platform yang Astro Awani ada Facebook, Instagram, Twitter dan sebagainya. Dan jangan lupa anda juga boleh muat turun aplikasi Muda Alih iOS dan Android. Astro Awani, anda boleh menonton agenda secara langsung di gadget Muda Alih anda. Sekian, selamat malam, jumpa lagi. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.